Now we're recording. Okay. So, this is not my usual studio. This is the Elder Scrolls Online. And I decided to sit down and record a little bit today because I wanted to show the archaeology system in this game, because it is the best representation of doing archaeology in a video game and in a fantasy setting that I have seen thus far. So, this is the Antiquarian Circle, their little headquarters in the city of Solitude in Western Skyrim, right there on the map. So that means that this does come with the Greymoor expansion of the Elder Scrolls Online in particular. But we're actually not going to stay here for a bit. We are going to go to Shadowfen, the part of the map that I have been working through, so that I can show you how this whole process works. We're joined by Bastion. He is my cheerleader. We're gonna go run through Solitude and go to Shadowfen. And I realized, kind of thinking about getting set up to record this, Shadowfen is a really interesting zone in which to talk about archaeology in video games. Because, as I don't know how much of this we'll see as we run through here, but Shadowfen has the ruins of different cultures and peoples who have lived in this setting, in that part of Tamriel. So we're just gonna go, let's drop right here. So there's the Zonmirs of the Argonian people and the Aeliad ruins, and in the main city in Shadowfen, people are still living in those Aeliad ruins. Or not living, but like using them. So it's this wonderful way of kind of showing how people are repurposing these ruins. Still making use of them. So, nice little swamp. We're going to get started. So, one of the things that I love about doing archaeology in Elder Scrolls Online is that it makes use of magic. So I find that it's very well integrated into a fantasy setting. Antiquities Codex for our current zone. So what we're going to do is scry. We have been given a magical tool that's part of the intro quest for the Antiquarian Circle, which, if I was going to show you how to do that, I'd have to make a whole character. It'd be a whole thing, big mess. Maybe that's a task for later. But we're going to scry for the Child's Ragged Tree doll, because we have a lead available. In order to find these different artifacts, you need a lead. You need an idea of where to start searching for it. And it's a fun little mini game, like a tile matching thing. This is the Antiquarian's Eye. It's our special tool to do this. And then I have, because I have absolutely spammed the archaeology system in order to level up, I have all kinds of fun little upgrades that help me do these puzzles a bit better. So we need to get to these fun, cute little glowy orb thingies. Okay, because we managed to grab all of those, that's going to narrow down our search. Okay, so we're going to run all the way up here, and our artifact is going to be found somewhere within this little glowing part on our map. Yep, Child's Ragged Tree doll. So we're going to go back to the Way Shrine to make this a little bit quicker. We're going to go here. And kind of up on my compass, there is a specific icon for this to help me get to where I need to go to look for this artifact. I'm stuck on a rock. That happens a lot. Now I'm realizing I should have maybe waited to do this during the daytime, which had been my plan. Oh, that had been my plan. And then I forgot. No, I already know how to make a baked potato. Okay. So we're going to run through here. I'm going to try not to get caught up in too many fights here. Maybe I shouldn't have brought Bastion along for this because he'll get caught up in the fights. And then I have to go help him. And also, just for funsies, to ramble as we run here, I do play a necromancer because, of course, I do. Yep. And okay. One of the things that I love about the Elder Scrolls and Tamriel is that the world has an archaeological record. And to me, it gives this wonderful kind of depth to the world, this sense of time. You know, this world has existed and people have lived and died within it for much longer, you know, for a really long time before the player character is even part of the picture here. And for me, and from a world building perspective and game design perspective, that makes the world feel a lot more real and a lot more alive. And the antiquarian system is not, yeah, see, Bastion started a fight. The antiquarian system is not the only means of kind of engaging with the past and the material culture and the archaeological record of Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls Online. There is, you know, back in Solitude where we started, there's the Bard's College. And there's an entire, it's not like a proper quest line the way that it's put into the game, but there's a whole system of all of these musical instruments have been lost through the ages, and you are tasked with going through and finding them and bringing them back. So in that way, there's a way of displaying them. And once you've collected them all and gotten your shiny little achievement, you can always go back to the Bard's College and see all of the instruments on display. And of course, there's, you know, no shortage of quests where you are dealing with relics or these, essentially they could be archaeological sites, all of these ruins all over the landscape. And again, that is something that I see a lot in Shadowfen in particular. There's a lot of quests involving the relics of the Argonian people, the lizard people. Okay. So our artifact, our dig site, is somewhere in that direction. We're not going to go through that rock. Can I? No. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, so once you are within the area in which you're going to find your dig site, you can use that Antiquarian's Eye, that magical tool, to point you in the right direction so that you're not just running around looking for your dig site. There is a cooldown on it, so you can't use it, you know, like multiple times in very quick succession. Yep, sparkles. It's a very sparkly archaeology system, and I just really enjoy that. Yep, so we're going to keep going in this direction. I'm hoping there's not too many more fights. This is kind of a settled village area that I've already done all the quests for. Oh, no, never mind. Maybe I can just run away.
Sheath your weapons. The battle is won.
You know, he says that, but he's the one who started this fight. Okay. I think... There we are. Okay. Glowy golden lights in the distance, that's our dig site. And as you progress through the archaeology skills, there are 2 skills in this system: the actual magical scrying, the little puzzle mini game, and the excavation, the digging itself. You can pick up skills that will allow you to, better be able to see the sparkly, glowy dig sites. So here we are, and yeah, I should have done this during the daytime so that you could actually see it, but we're gonna excavate. And this is, I think, when I started doing this in the game, I think this is what excited me kind of the most. The way that the excavation and the dig site is laid out in game. Because it gives you a beautiful square-shaped unit that is, enclosed by this rope, and that just felt so real to me. And we have our tools. We're going to start with the magical tool, the Antiquarian's Eye, this thing over here, the auger. And that will, again, it's a way of pointing us in the right direction, because we have all these little squares. Where do we start? We're going to use magic to help us figure out where to start. Okay, that's good. So we're kind of within this white square area. And that means our artifact is somewhere under this layer of sediment. So we're going to use our little brush, our little trowel. And on the right side, you see I have a bigger trowel and a shovel. Those are things that you unlock as you progress through the skills too. And that just makes me happy. So we're going to dig through here. And this is a little bit silly, as far as authenticity and real archaeology goes. But all of the artifacts are just conveniently in this lovely little container. And different artifacts have different containers, based on how big they are. So because this is an entry-level sort of artifact, one of the first ones you can do in the zone, it's, pretty small. All right, and there we have it. So, a couple other things. You do have a time limit for this. As you dig, the sun will go down. You'll run out of time, which, again, feels quite realistic. When you're in the field, you only have so much time in the field. Not just because of, daylight and you don't really want to dig in the dark, but also, field schools are going to be a couple weeks at a time, based on the dig season. When is the weather good to go excavate? How much funding do you have to be able to pay to be out there, as far as, buying food or paying for whatever you need in the field? This red bar is the health of the artifact. So if I were to try and dig up this artifact with my big shovel, that could actually damage it. I don't think I've damaged an artifact all the way to destroying it, but I like that system is in the game as well. So we still have some time left over, and we can use that time to look for other little goodies in here. So that's when I bring out the big shovel, because that can get through several more layers of sediment. And extra goodie, bonus item. You see I have this bar that kind of fills up with what I need in order to use the bigger shovels. And we got some gold. Okay, so here we got another lead. You can also get leads through just exploring in the game and combat and stuff like that. We got a hat, and we got some gold. What happens next is they send the antiquity back to that guild where we started, and they study it, and they send us a letter. And what I love about this is that they're telling you, what is the artifact and what did it mean to people of the past. So this is, getting deeper into the game's lore. And if you have any familiar with the Elder Scrolls, there's a lot of lore. So it's a wonderful way of, again, incorporating this into that fantasy setting. Okay, I guess Gabrielle. Gabrielle is one of those characters you can go talk to in the guild headquarters, or in the circle's headquarters in Solitude. Okay, perfect. Perhaps if we had a circle member more knowledgeable in Argonian history, they could help explain these mysteries. I love that. because archaeology is incredibly interdisciplinary, especially the way that it is practiced now. Um, and this includes something like what I do. I'm not a straight up archaeologist. I'm more of a bioarchaeologist. So I have, more knowledge in the human skeleton and stuff like that and ancient DNA. So I'm kind of a specialist within that field. Um, and you can also do like geoarchaeology, but you also need other people involved, like people who specialize in that geographic region or the culture that you're studying, so that we have all these multiple perspectives involved in interpreting the data and putting together that picture of the past. So we get to keep this lovely little note in our codex, which is just part of like your normal like quest journal in the game. These are all of the other notes I have gotten from other members of the circle, and it becomes this dialogue as you go through. So I found the child's ragged tree doll 3 times and gotten a letter from each of my friends. And I love that it's a dialogue, because that's why we publish our scientific papers, to have a dialogue. And we can kind of go back and forth, and they discuss the artifacts. But yeah, so that is, and now we have that there. We can go ahead and scry the next item. These are things I haven't found leads for yet, and it's all organized by the different areas in the game. But yeah, that is just an overview of doing archaeology in a video game in a way that I personally think is very well done. The book Archaeogaming, which kind of set up this entire concept of video game archaeology, it talks quite a lot about the Elder Scrolls Online. However, it was published before the expansion came out that included the antiquarian system. So I'm very curious what the author thinks about all of this, if they have played through this. Not gonna lie, there are some days, especially when I was trying to increase my skill, which I'll show you here under world skills, excavation. Ooh, good. This means I'm almost okay. Yeah, that's good. I like that. So you can increase your skills, learn more. But yeah, that's about it. I just thought this would be a little bit of fun, because this game has been keeping me sane while I work on dissertation and research and PhD stuff. But yeah, like I said, there are some days when I log in, and if I want to increase the skill, this is all I do. I don't do any other quests or anything, because I just really enjoy this. Let me know if you want to see some other discussions on archaeology in video games, or things along the lines of that, because it's kind of an interesting little, it's an intellectual side quest for me, if you will. But yeah, that's just a little bit of fun. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time with some normal content. I will be back in the studio next week to record a couple new videos about some fun stuff. All right, see you later.